chat. The chat button is on the bottom and looks like a bubble. Just click on that and type in your comments. Also, please no recording with cell phones, as the full video will be released on YouTube. Welcome to the January meeting of Arvadans for Progressive Action. I'm Jim Kreider. I am our treasurer and occasional maitre d'. Today we are excited to have activists from our community. We're excited to what they're up to and how we can best support them. I'd like to recognize new members willing to stand and say your name and maybe one thing about or your progressivism or whatever else you'd like to talk about. Whether you're pregnant, Jerry, there was a rumor going around, but
I can either confirm or deny.
There you go.
I'm Jerry Redmond, and glad to find you guys. I think I found you on social media for the holidays. I live in Arvada that way, just off of 44th. Been here 3 years now. I moved out here from Tennessee. I'm a native Southerner who could not live in the South 1 minute longer, so I am so happy.
Who else is a first timer? Hi.
I'm Charlie Taylor's daughter. My sister's Alan. My family is in Arvada, so I'm here for support. And obviously lifelong progressive Democrat. My dad raised me right. And very, very much care about and champion women's issues and reproductive rights.
Welcome. Thank you. Who else is there for the first time?
I'm here for the first time. My name is, thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Rebecca Lovison, and I am running for the Arvada City Council District 3 seat, open on November 4th of this year. My platform primarily focuses on how health, mental health, well-being, and the opportunities to support our community are all interconnected. So I'm excited to support you however I can and to chat with as many of you as would like to chat with me and learn about your needs and what you would like to see in the community.
Could you restate your name 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times so we remember it?
Well, and I have one technical support issue to raise too. So we have the owl here. This is our audio visual spectacular. So what I'd like you to do is to come up this way.
Perfect. I need to practice this. Do you mind if I do that all again?
So go ahead and come up to the front.
Awesome.
And step like 3 more feet that way. All right.
Okay. My name is Rebecca Lovison, and that's Rebecca with a CK. I am for Arvada City Council District 3, and it's the seat open on November 4th of this year. And I help and well-being and community support are all interconnected. So again, Rebecca Lovison with a CK, and yes, open to questions.
So is this the seat John Marriott currently holds?
It is indeed. Yeah. For a while. And I'm previously I was with the Arvada Festivals Commission. I was their chair, and that's how I got involved with the city. I'm a city volunteer and just looking to now maybe get paid just a little bit for my hard work. And yeah, excited to chat with all of you that would like to chat with me.
Thank you.
Thanks for the practice.
Any other elected officials or newcomers that would like to speak or would be willing to say hello and introduce themselves?
I'm a newcomer. My name is Madeline.
Come on up. Come on up.
Yeah.
front.
This is the hazing here, but no, they're not.
Well, hi, everybody. My name's Madeline. I was here online the last month, but I wanted to actually see everyone's actual faces. So that's me. I live in Lakewood, actually, but this is the closest that I can find to an actual in-person community. So,
And the coolest group.
Oh my.
Other first timers or current public officials or campaigning soon to be public officials? Besides Rebecca.
This is Annette Cannon. I'm online, Jefferson County Coroner. Hi, everyone. I live in Westminster, but I have a business registered to Arvada, and I participate as much as I can on the healthcare committee for APA. So, thank you for having me today.
Welcome. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, speakers today. This is Pat Malone in the front row. She sometimes does timing, but today.
Did you not hear the chimes? Your time is up.
If you're like me and you have trouble thinking about two things at once, she'll wave at you after her chimes go off, and that means wrap it up. This group was founded during a very dark time in our country's history, right after the 2016 election. And guess what? Here we are again. And one of our traditions is a few people, whoever feels the urge, kind of like a Quaker meeting. That fits with my welcome Gentiles and laymen introduction. We often share things that keep us up at night and things that give us hope. Anyone willing to share today? What keeps you up at night or what gives you hope? Pat.
What gives me hope is that they're all fighting with each other. And I think we might find some common ground with the MAGAs or MAGAs or whatever they're called, MAGAs.
This meeting is recorded. Just
I've already got a target on me. But seriously, it gives me some hope that they're gonna realize that he's not gonna do anything for them, just like he's not gonna do anything for us, and that maybe we'll find that common ground.
beautiful. Thank you. Who else? Joyce.
What keeps me up at night is that Elon Musk is seeing so much power right now over Trump. And I served in Peace Corps in the mid-70s in surrounded by South Africa. And the thought of someone who was born in the apartheid money on emeralds in South Africa just makes me horrified.
Thank you. I'm not sure if this gives me hope or keeps me up at night or both. I heard Senator Warner the other night talking on MSNBC somewhere, and saying that he's not convinced that Democrats in the Senate are going to fight over appointments, and particularly concerned about Kash Patel. So given that we have some occasionally wobbly Democrats in the US Senate from Colorado, it might be worth a phone call to remind them that Kash Patel in charge of our law enforcement system might be a problem. Yes.
Well, what gives me a drop of hope in a thing that keeps me up at night is the governor went back on his original proposal to cut back education funding this year and reduce the amount of money to basically recreate the negative factor. And he went back on it mostly. So I think he heard all the pressure and he was willing to listen to that. But it's still a problem where we're going to get all the extra money that we need.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm also going to prime the pump. We collect money to pay for this room and our Zoom, whatever it's called, subscription, and our mail system and so forth. If you have anything you can contribute today, that's great. Otherwise, you can do it online. There is a button on our webpage. Next, let me now introduce our action team leaders. We'll hear from each of them for a couple minutes and Mindy for a few more since she's got a particularly busy month going here. Let's start with Allison Phipps for communications and education.
All right. I'm Allison Phipps. I am the communications team lead, and the education team lead. So we kind of always combine these two together, but for communications, not a lot to update. Just if you have any sort of communications skill sets, you like to do graphic design in your spare time, or you're really into Facebook events and creating them, get in touch with me. I would love to have you on the team, to kind of spread that task out with more people. We have, of course, a few people on the team that do an amazing job. And then for education, the only update or the biggest update right now, I've been a little behind with the holiday season, but we do have an initiative going on right now, in tandem with Pat, kind of helped me out in finding creating some letters. I just sent an education team email yesterday, but there's a template letter. We're reaching out to the school board to ask them to basically release a statement saying that they will protect immigrant students. Boulder has released such a statement. Denver's school districts have released such a statement. And it basically says, we don't want immigrant students to feel scared to go to school, that they will be reported in school. School is a safe place for all students, regardless of immigration status. So we want families to be able to send their kids to school, get education, and not feel like they're at risk. So we don't want school districts handing over any information on any children that are enrolled at Jeffco. So we have an ask for the school board to release a statement similar to what Boulder and Denver have done. So if you are interested in that, please let me know. And I have a template letter, or you could just email the school board on your own. And that's it.
Thank you. Kathy.
Hello. I'd like to share some of the healthcare action accomplishments that happened this past in 2024. We met almost every month. In January, we planned and presented at the APA General Meeting. We also showed the healthcare action movie Healing Us at Stanley Lake Library that month. In February, we attended a rally and spoke to legislators at the Healthcare Day of Action at the state capitol. March through May, we advocated for House Bill 1075, the healthcare analysis bill. There was an excellent effort by many people, including some people in this room, but it unfortunately did not go through. In the summer, we raised public awareness at booths in 2 Arvada festivals. And in December, we convinced Representative Pascal to support the new healthcare analysis bill. This bill will be reintroduced, and it's going to be reintroduced on January 8th, 2025. Yeah, so those who have health have hope. Those who have hope have everything. Please join us. Thank you.
Caroline.
Hi, I'm Darlon Chang, and I'm the Climate Action Team Lead. And I think for Climate Action, we have a really great month to show that we can think global and act local. Climate change is a global issue, but acting local, we have a great opportunity with Arvada's Climate Action Plan. That plan is going to be released to the public in draft form, I expect within days. And on next Wednesday, we're going to have the meeting of the Arvada Sustainability Advisory Committee. Those meetings, the public is allowed to join. It's at 5:30 at City Hall, and you can also join through Zoom. I'll send out an email as well with information about how you can sign up to just be there on Zoom if you prefer. But you can give a public comment, just like you could give public comment at the City Hall. And we have about a month before City Hall is going to vote on the Arvada Climate Action Plan. So during that month, we want to get as many groups to sign on the letter of support for the Climate Action Plan. We've had to hold off because the details of the Climate Action Plan still haven't been released, but I expect it within days. Also, if you'd like more details, you can check out our YouTube channel and see our last meeting in December. We had an entire meeting about the Arvada Climate Action Plan. And in addition to the Arvada Climate Action Plan, we really need to think about how do we make the Climate Action Plan work, because it's not going to be funded. It's not in the city budget. It's going to be aspirational in the sense they'll set goals for the city, but we need to find funding and grants to be able to support the work that needs to happen to make it truly meaningful. So there's going to be a lot more work to do beyond the city council vote. So we have to think about how we can support the vote as well as support the plan when it's enacted. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Mindy?
Mindy Moore with the Affordable Housing / Homelessness Team. This is going to be another busy year in the state legislature for bills with affordable housing. So we'll stay tuned on that and let you know some that we may really need some advocacy for. But on the local level, you know, the Arvada Housing Advisory Committee, one of the strategies is to get more affordable housing here in Arvada. So I'm going to say some good news first. There is another development that has gotten low-income housing tax credits. It's called the Marshall Point. It's 260 units of affordable, they call workforce housing. So it's lower income housing on Marshall Street, about 54th. And Arvada was also creative and helped them get a $2 million grant from something called the Energy and Mineral Impact Assistance Fund, which is where oil and gas severance taxes go. But they're using that $2 million to help pay for their tap fees. So the city and we don't have to pay for the tap fees for this new building. So that's something city council should be voting on this Monday night at their business meeting. So that's the good news. And that is doing a good job trying to really get support for affordable housing. The sad news, of course, is the homelessness side of it, the navigation center and helping people on the verge of being unhoused. After that 4-hour study session that city council had, that they couldn't even come up with a mission statement or agree on anything to move forward. I guess the thing is they're going to have a series of engagement meetings at neighborhoods across Arvada. These will be local meetings, not just where the proposed navigation center is in Arlington Meadows, even places like Candelas, throughout the city. The schedule is not, but it should be soon. He's thing we can do is to advocate for people who care about this to go to their neighborhood meeting and speak up. So our affordable housing team, we might partner with the Jeff Go Heading Home group to come up with fact sheets. We might do a short Zoom training if people want, just to learn more about homelessness, affordable housing, what a navigation center is, so that when they go to their little neighborhood meeting, they can actually speak up and have something in their hands, you know, instead of all the naysayers saying, I don't want it here, and send them back to Denver types of statements. So please stay tuned for that. And then the final thing is with this cold weather, this is a great reminder, because we don't have a shelter or navigation center, Mission Arvada at the Rising Church in Old Town is the de facto navigation center. You know, it's only open a couple hours each day, Monday through Friday. And they are open at night during this really extreme weather. So like this week, they're going to be open almost every night, and they rely on volunteers. A couple of churches have been helping, but they're getting strapped, you know, with when you have a whole week of cold weather below 20 degrees. So they need volunteers to either help show up, register people if you're really willing to stay overnight, bring food. In this week's call to action, we'll have information and a sign-up link, but if you'd like to do something even earlier than getting that email, please let me know. I can direct you to the website where you can sign up to help, because Mission Arvada is trying to keep people from dying on the streets, essentially. And so that's why it's really important. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you all.
Thank you. Joyce.
I'm Joyce Richardson. I run the Political Action Committee or team. Taking a little break, but soon we will be developing questions that we want to ask the city council candidates and getting that to them. And then we'll run a survey and see who we should endorse. So I'll be kind of collecting who all is signing up, but you know, there's a long lead time for people to sign up, but so if you have some questions that you would really like to see asked of the
candidates, please either shoot me an email, write it on a card, bring it to next month's meeting. But that's gonna be our focus this coming year is the city council races. Yes, and school board.
And school board.
Yes.
Read my mind.
All right,
Do you know what the cutoff is?
I'll
for
have to look
for
it up. It's
people to-
usually late summer, actually.
Julie Callahan, bearing gold, frankincense, and myrrh, I see. Which doesn't say anything about me.
I'm Julie. I'm in charge of book club and social outreach. We've been doing Saturday mornings, and this year we're gonna shake it up a little bit. The books we're gonna be reading are gonna be banned books. We're gonna do one a month. This month it's going to be To Kill a Mockingbird. We will meet to discuss that on Thursday night, January 30th, I will keep you posted. Next Saturday, we're gonna do a walk and talk. We're just going to meet at the Colorado Tap House. We're gonna go for like a 2-mile walk, come back and chat. On January 19th, which is the day before inauguration, we're going to get together to support each other. I'm gonna have it at my house, and we are going to begin our gardens. We're gonna start with some lettuce, start getting ready for some peppers and tomatoes, and do the little guys who are gonna start growing in our houses. So in a few months, we can put them outside, because that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna take care of ourselves and each other. And, on February 1st, which is our next meeting, that morning we may be doing a rock painting. I will keep everybody posted. And in March, I'm looking to do a sip and paint group, but I will need feedback to see if people are interested in that, because we will want a minimum of 10 to 15 people. So I will be putting things on Facebook, and I will need your input. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And you can place that.
Yeah.
Yes, Pat. Pat is not a team leader, but she's a go-getter, and the same can go for you. You don't have to join our leadership team and have 2 meetings a month instead of 1. If you want to contribute in other ways, and Pat finds her little niches, and this is one of them.
Okay, I've got 2 things going on. One is an initiative about, and Allison alluded to it, protecting the immigrants who live in Arvada, who work here, pay taxes here, raise families here, et cetera. So we are going on Monday, and I'm inviting all of you to join us. Monday at City Hall is a business meeting. It's at 6:00. We did this on December 16th, just to kind of give them an idea it's coming. But we're expecting a lot more people to show up on Monday. And we're asking them to take a look at whatever written policies they have right now that are airtight, that speak to having the staff and the police officers not give any information about our immigrants, not be a part of raiding or detaining immigrants who live here, and closing up loopholes if they do, if they need to be. So we also want to know that in their written documents, there are repercussions so that the staff members and the police officers know. And this is all based on the law also. ACLU has made it real clear about what the expectations are and sent that to all the sheriffs within Colorado and all the attorneys for every county. Jennifer Chaparro, where are you, Jennifer? There she is. So she made these buttons called Protect Immigrants. And there's a bunch of them back there. I have more, but if you're willing to actually wear it, please do take one. And definitely if you're going to show up on Monday at City Council meeting, please do take one to wear there. If you want more information about whether you might want to be part of this initiative, Protect Our Immigrants, please let me know. We have talking points, we have the ACLU directive, et cetera. The other initiative, because I'm taking more than 2 minutes, but we're ahead of schedule. Okay, the other one is about, and this is Holly, who's back there. She and I have been talking about this for a while. which is to form a group of people who will pay closer attention to City Hall. I know certain team leaders do, like Mindy's all over it and Darlon's all over it. But just in general, not specific to a particular team, but just paying attention to what's on the agenda this week. And then every other week is the business meeting, and that's the one where we can speak. And to start with, I'm hoping we'll all speak about protecting our immigrants until such time that they make it clear that they've got that covered and all is good. After that, anybody can talk about anything that's going on in their neighborhood or something that bothers them. We see this as probably being a group of 8, 10, 12, whatever number of people, and we'll rotate it. That's the important part. So it's not a burden on any one person that, you know, we'll take turns going. And also keep APA leadership informed if we see something on the agenda that might be of interest to the, you know, general population. So that's it. Contact me, contact Holly if you're interested in the second one, and me if you want to talk about protecting our immigrants. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie's up for the main part of our meeting.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name's Julie. I'm excited to introduce 3 students from local schools who've taken on leadership roles to advocate for causes that are dear to them. Each will talk about their history, what event or series of events pushed them to become an activist, their current goals, and what we can do to help them. We will begin with Madhvi. Madhvi is a 13-year-old eco-warrior, youngest UN child advisor, 2024 Time Kid of the Year honoree for advocating for planet Earth and public health, featured in People magazine for Earth Day 2024, holder of 2 Guinness World Records, author, music composer, and Bharatanatyam exponent. She has brought about large-scale changes locally, nationally, and globally, including plastic bag and styrofoam containers ban in restaurants and grocery stores in Colorado, 2 bills in 2024 and 2022 to ban PFAS in consumer products, reduce PFAS guidance limits to 4 parts per trillion from 70 parts per trillion all over the US with EPA, made history as per UN as the UN Child Advisor in the formulation of UN General Comment number 26 to protect children's rights, and many more. Ooh, come on up. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me well? All right, cool. So happy New Year, and thank you, Miss Julie Callahan, for inviting me to speak today.
I'm can you unlock this?
Oh, you want me? You want me to?
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
I forgot my phone, so I want to
Go ahead.
Thank you.
I'll let her start her recording. No.
Just taking pictures.
Oh, okay. So I started my journey as an activist when I was 5 years old. I was watching a CNN documentary called Midway, the Plastic Island, along with my family during December of 2016 to commemorate President Obama's establishment of the Midway Atoll Wildlife Refuge. It showed the plastic, it talked all about plastic pollution. It showed the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Plastics were all over the oceans, and the sands on the beaches were all just tiny pieces of microplastics. Plastic, big plastic objects like mannequin heads, like umbrella handles, bottles, etc. were all just strewn on the beaches as well. Aquatic animals and birds were all eating those plastics, feeding it to their young, and they were all dying because plastic is indigestible. Then there's even a big styrofoam ball in the ocean being broken down by the water currents, making that ocean water even more toxic. And what saddened me the most was that Midway Island is in the middle of nowhere in the Pacific Ocean, but and it also is nowhere near civilization. But all the trash from human civilization just ended up there because it was carried by the water currents. So that's what inspired me to take action. I first wrote a book called Is Plastic My Food? And it won recognition from the US Congressman, US Congress, and National Geographic. After that, I wanted to do more, and with the help of my mom, I started my nonprofit called Madhvi for Ecoethics. I then met with the then US Congressman, Mr. Ed Perlmutter, the then Governor, Mr. John Hickenlooper, and Governor, Mr. Jared Polis, to declare April as Plastic and Styrofoam Pollution Awareness Month, as well as March as PFAS Pollution Impact Awareness Month all over Colorado. And also parallelly, in April 2018, I wrote a letter to the then superintendent of Jeffco Public Schools, Dr. Jason Glass, and started a signature campaign to replace carcinogenic, non-biodegradable styrofoam trays to compostable trays in all 155 schools in the Jeffco Public Schools district. After many months of meetings, finally the switch happened in September 2019. And till date, it has eliminated more than 27 million styrofoam trays from going to the landfill and also saving the health of the students. Then I met with State Representative Ms. Brianna Titone with a petition to ban plastic bags and styrofoam containers all over the state. Then through public speeches, signature campaigns, state capitol visits, testimonies, meetings with legislators, emails, and even the perseverance during the COVID pandemic, HB 21-1162 was signed into law by Governor Polis, and it took effect on January 1st, 2024. Similarly, I heard about PFAS in 2017 when DuPont had to pay compensation for a PFAS lawsuit brought against it due to Teflon. I had been raising awareness against PFAS, and then after the first bill, the plastic bag and styrofoam container ban was passed, I then reached out to State Senator Ms. Lisa Cutter. I worked with her and have passed 2 bills to date. In 2024 and also in 2022 to ban PFAS for many consumer products like furniture, cosmetics, nonstick cookware, toys, menstrual products, ski wear, artificial turf, food packaging, etc. And then in regards to gun violence control, in 2023, I co-organized a rally along with Denver Public Schools and met with many legislators at the state capitol to ban assault weapons. I also staged a soft protest for everyone to wear orange to show solidarity for gun control measures nationally. I worked with the EPA in 2022 and 2023 to reduce PFAS guidelines in drinking water from 70 parts per trillion to 4 parts per trillion all over the US. I also worked with Madam VP Harris, her policy staff, and Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken's policy staff on the Global Plastic Treaty, which led to the U.S. Joining it, and it was also ratified in 2022, March 2022, in Portugal. I was selected as the UN Child Advisor for the formulation of UN General Comment number 26, which are guidelines for governments and businesses to protect children's rights that are affected by the climate and environmental crisis. In March 2023, I addressed the UN General Assembly in New York on global PFAS issues. And in September 2023, I was invited to address the UN Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland, on child rights for the launch of General Comment 26. I also have worked on other bills like the Right to Repair bills with State Representative Ms. Brianna Titone, making Colorado the pioneer on these sort of measures. In the past years, from 2019 to 2024, I have collaborated with Air Quality Control Commission and the Energy and Carbon Management Commission of Colorado on reducing ozone pollution, then groundwater, surface water, and stormwater conservation, the cumulative impacts, and produced water regulations during drilling of the oil and gas industry. I also worked with Arapahoe County Commissioners on the oil and gas drilling regulations regarding the Lowry cap on like the 160 oil wells. I then won the Guinness World Record for Jeffco Public Schools for recycling markers in 2021. I am planning to continue my activism in the coming years. I've met with our District State Representative, Ms. Lisa Ferre, and also have scheduled meetings with State Rep. Ms. Rhiannon and others. Globally, through my Ecoethics Global movement, I have furthered climate education in India, Bangladesh, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Namibia, Spain, Portugal, etc. I seek all of your support on my climate work, like signing my petitions, buying my books, and also just supporting for my nonprofit, Madhvi for Ecoethics and Ecoethics Global for implementing eco work globally. I am also very grateful for all your current support. The list is huge from with all the people who helped me, but a few I wanted to mention are Miss Pat Malone, Miss Karen Tonso, Miss Judy Jackson, Miss Kathy Jackson, Mr. Darlon, Miss Allison Phipps, and Mr. Bob McGrath. Thank you very much.
There's time for questions, Madhvi.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah, you have time for questions.
Have questions?
So does everyone know?
Could you spell out your nonprofit?
Yeah. MADHVI, then the number 4, ECOETHICS.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Have you found much support for your climate work at your high school?
Yeah, at school I've seen a lot of support from my teachers as well as students. So yeah, things are going well.
What is your long-term goal? Graduating college, politics, just activism?
I don't know exactly about career and college and stuff. I have to think about that, but I do want to continue climate activism until all the problems in the world are hopefully solved and everything.
Love it.
Yes, I have goals.
What is your favorite part about being an activist, and what do you find most challenging?
My favorite part is, I guess it's mainly all the people that I've met, all the things that I've learned from them, especially since they're all from all walks of life. I also really like to see that all the work that I put in has made really meaningful changes. One challenge in my activism is sometimes any businesses or governments may need more convincing or more work to be done and more convincing on certain laws or regulations to be passed. Yeah.
I know you've won numerous awards from the PTA Arts Reflections Program. Can you tell us which categories you have won in?
Oh, on PTA Reflections, I have been participating in that since first grade, so I think 8 or 9 years at this point, and I have won in all 6 categories: music composition, film, visual arts, photography, dance, and literature. There we go. So yeah, I've won them many times. I've even gone to the national level on music and stuff.
I have a practical question that I'm not sure, I would guess you don't have an answer to, but we'll give it a shot. Some of us have noticed that we go into restaurants in Colorado and they're still using styrofoam, and I know they were allowed to grandfather in whatever supply they had a year ago, but it seems like they must have gigantic warehouses full of stuff. Do you have any suggestions on what we ought to do about that, or just they'll eventually get there?
I have actually been seeing that same problem as well, especially in Olive Garden especially. But what I do there is just bring my own containers while that sort of switch happens, as well as just letting the manager and stuff know that this law has already been passed. You should switch by now.
Thank you.
Well, was it not only their grandfather, but there's a certain size cutoff too? If it's not like a chain restaurant, but just a single individually owned restaurant, I'm not sure they have to comply with that, Jim. That was my understanding.
Yeah.
But Olive Garden certainly should, you're right.
Yeah, right.
And Home Depot, you get plastic bags there now too. Like, I went into, like, you want a plastic bag? Like, I thought those were illegal. Sure.
So for on your website, the best way to support you, do you have a donation link? Is that something?
Yeah, there should be a donation link in the website.
Okay.
And you can also just like buy my books and any other stuff that I put.
And for those of you that aren't on our Facebook page, or if you are on our Facebook page, Madhvi often posts like what she's been up to, everything from dancing to like your actual like Madhvi for eco-ethics. So
Yeah, a lot of activism stuff. Follow my social medias. It's a great support to do that as well.
Yeah.
So is that it?
Thank you.
Thank you, Madhvi. That was really interesting. Wow. Next, I'd like to introduce Rhiannon Danborn. Rhiannon is a former West student, currently a freshman at CU, a Boettcher Scholar, and is currently working on gun violence prevention as part of the National Executive Council for Team Enough, which is under the Brady Campaign. Yeah. Also with her is Anjali, who is currently a senior at Arvada West High School and is currently the director of Team Enough Denver.
Thank you, Julie. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Rhiannon. As Julie just mentioned, I'm a freshman at the University of Colorado Boulder, and I'm currently working on the National Executive Council for Team Enough. So Team Enough is the youth branch of the Brady Campaign, which is the oldest gun violence prevention organization in the United States. I'm the previous director of Team Enough Denver, which Anjali is now the director of. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what sort of my journey into activism looked like and gun violence prevention specifically, what this kind of looks like at the national level right now, which it's a little bit bleak. And then Anjali can go on a little bit into what it looks like locally, what she's been up to with our local chapter, which is Team Enough Denver, and how you guys can really support us, because community involvement and local support is just going to be so important, specifically over the next 4 years. So I got involved initially in 2018 following Parkland. Parkland was the first time that, as I was 11 at the time, 12, it was the first time that I was able to really fathom that kind of violence. I had heard about mass shootings before this point. I had heard about Sandy Hook. I remember I have a very distinct memory of being 6 years old and a first grader, and it was December. Our neighbors brought over a plate of cookies, and you think like it's the holidays. This is, a really heartwarming thing to do. And my mom sat my siblings and I down and explained that our neighbors had baked these plate of cookies because they had heard about the shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, and they just did not know what to do. And they knew that my family had students, 3 kids in school, and me, a first grader. And I just remember not really being able to process what that meant, but knowing that I could, go to school and not return home. But Parkland was the first time that I remember just really thinking, oh my God, this is something that's happening. So following Parkland, my sister was actually involved in gun violence prevention with Jeffco Students Demand Action and March for Our Lives. We hosted 2 student survivors from Parkland about a month after the shooting. That was also sort of the moment when I realized that it's not just the families that lost their children and the students that lost their lives, but it's a ripple effect. It's a community that's impacted, and that was sort of the moment when I realized I had to do something. And I saw, not only I have to do something, but I saw students that were taking that pain and grief and anger, and they were doing something actionable with it. So following 2018, 2019, I was mostly there just watching my sister do advocacy. There was a lot of just attending rallies, things like that. And then COVID hit, gun violence prevention, specifically in Colorado, there wasn't a lot going on. The youth side kind of unraveled a little bit. People were just trying to deal with COVID. And then in 2022, Uvalde happened. And I was connected with some people over social media. I was invited to help organize Denver's March for Our Lives rally in response to that. And that was the first time that I had really been in a position of organizing. And that for me was so powerful because it felt like I was doing something. Coming out of 2020, 2021, there were so many issues and just unrest in the world. And I felt like I needed to do something, but it was paralyzing, to be completely honest. And this felt like an issue that I could speak on, that I was passionate about, and this was a way to actually do something about it. So following the success of the rally, we were approached by Amanda Wilcox, who works with the Brady Campaign, and she asked if those of us who had organized the rally under March for Our Lives, which didn't really have a base in Colorado, would be willing to start a chapter of Team Enough in Colorado and sort of start to reinvigorate the youth movement. So that's how I came to be with Team Enough. And since then, we've worked on campaigns. In the 2022 midterm election, we worked on the campaign of Senator Tom Sullivan, helped him get into the Senate. We also did work legislative session. We had 5 historic gun violence prevention bills that were passed, which was quite exciting, especially having a governor who's not always on board with gun violence prevention. We organized a art show that was really designed to give students a space to grieve and also have sort of a therapeutic way to talk about this issue and talk about and open a conversation also to the public without using quite as much fiery, impassioned language, which definitely has a time and a place, but sometimes it's not quite as effective. And now we worked last session on 6 different gun violence prevention bills that we were able to get through. We also worked on the assault weapons ban. We worked both years on that. We're going to be working on it this year as well, with hopefully more success. So we've watched that sort of incrementally get better and better. And that's kind of where we're at now. As far as the National Executive Council, that's been my newest role. It let me sort of take a step back from local organizing, which I was starting to feel a little bit burnt out from, and also transitioning to college. I wanted the opportunity to go all in on college and focus on getting settled a little bit. And it's given me the opportunity to still continue remotely doing work on this issue that's so important to me. Nationally, it looks a little bit bleak, as I'm sure you guys have been able to figure out. We worked really hard leading up to the election, and honestly, we're very, very hopeful. We did a lot of phone banking. We went all on board with Kamala Harris and trying to get her campaign, trying to have that be successful. We did a lot of phone banking with Voters of Tomorrow, specifically targeting other young voters, trying to talk young person to young person. Hey, what's your plan to vote? What issues are important to you? And then the election happened. We all kind of took a deep breath and said, okay, we need to have kind of a different plan. And since then, on the National Executive Council, we've been working on figuring out, okay, what are our next steps? What are our priorities going to be moving forward, which is the discussion that we're starting to have now in January, for what legislative things we are going to try to do. How are we going to protect the things that we already have accomplished, because a lot of them are going to be trying to be unraveled at this point. And then working on, what projects on the local level and how can we engage communities locally, because that's where we're going to see the most success in the next few years. So I'll now give it up to Anjali, to talk a little bit more about what that's about.
Hi, everybody. Wow, it's gonna be hard following these two impressive young people, but I'll try my best. So I'm Anjali Passrich, and I'm currently a senior at Arvada West High School. And similar to Rhiannon, it was a mass shooting that kind of pushed me into advocacy. It was the 2021 mass shooting at the King Soopers in Boulder, Colorado. I used to live in Boulder. That used to be my King Soopers. And that was terrifying just to see how my community could get, so negatively affected and so hurt by this one person with this terrifying weapon. And last year, Rhiannon brought Teaming Up to Arvada West. Previously, it was kind of online. It wasn't really grounded in schools. And that really pushed me into advocacy. It showed me that I can take these ideas that I've had since I was a child. My mom is an immigrant from France, so guns are a very foreign concept to her in the sense that normal citizens can have them. So I grew up kind of not really understanding why America was like that. But it allowed me to take a step forward and tell, legislators and fellow students why these issues matter. So last year I was the director of communications for Teaming Up Denver, and we helped Golden and Arvada West really kind of blossom as advocacy centers for students. I helped host the 25th memorial for Columbine, and I got to meet the leader of, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name. Giffords. Yeah, the leader of Giffords, Gabby Giffords, and she was like an amazing person to hear speak because her story is so like sad, but also the strength that she has is so empowering. And since then I have kind of like been working with other advocates, but also those who have gone through shootings to process that grief and channel it into, a story and a way to make change. So this year, as the director of Teaming Up Denver, I oversee an Arvada West subchapter personally as the head there, as well as a Golden subchapter, a Bear Creek subchapter, and a subchapter in Aurora. And currently we are in the process of starting a subchapter at CU Boulder, which is really exciting because we get to see more and more students just enter the world of advocacy. Advocacy is something that can feel so foreign. It can feel like something that, professionals do, people who have been like born in this space, but it's something that everybody can do. We all have the power to go talk to our legislators. We all have the power to testify, and providing students with these opportunities shows them that they, as citizens have that ability. As far as local efforts, right now we are working on training members how to lobby as we are entering the legislative session. We know we will see bills that are being passed or introduced surrounding gun violence prevention. So training students on how to advocate for or against these bills is super important, and training them on how to testify is something we're looking forward to doing in January. We're also looking forward to hosting another art show. This is something that we would definitely be interested in working with this organization on because we need a space to host that art show. We need people who are interested in hearing from students or looking at their art surrounding gun violence. Yeah, that's kind of the majority of what I wanted to say, but I also wanted to thank you guys for letting us speak and hear about all of the efforts that are going on, because it's so interesting to see that Arvada really has a progressive community and that we are doing work. So thank you.
Lots of time for questions.
Yes.
So last year, the legislature passed a bill allowing cities to adopt a ban on firearms on city property. Did Arvada do that?
Yes.
Okay, I live in Westminster. I know they did it. So do you have any more information about how prevalent that was in the state of Colorado? Do you have any idea?
Not really. One of the things that one of the problems in Colorado is that we have a lot of strong like state policies, bans, things that you can't like do or things that dealers shouldn't be doing. The problem mainly that we see is enforcement of that, which is why bringing in the cities, that's awesome that we can get like Arvada, Westminster, I didn't realize had that as well, but that's why that's so important, because we're realizing that even if there's, like, for example, we have, for the assault weapons ban this year, it's going to be a high capacity magazine enforcement, and then include a bump stock ban. Because we already have a ban on high capacity magazines in Colorado, but what we've found is there's just not simply enforcement. That's a law, but there's tons of dealers.
And there are DIY kits where you can put together your own high capacity magazines.
Yeah, so it's really the enforcement that we're seeing is the issue, which is why this session we don't have any bills introduced yet, but we are thinking that we're going to see a lot of specifically enforcement. Also on the national level, one of the things that our executive council has been doing is reading through Project 2025. The lawyers at Brady went through the entire thing and pulled out any mention of guns. The one good thing about the Trump administration is they've given us a plan of what they're going to do, which we didn't have in 2016. So that means that we do have a slightly better idea of, okay, what are they going to try to do and how can we respond to that? One of the things that's outlined there is cutting the funding of the ATF in half, which will essentially make it null and void. Yeah. So that is, again, going to put like local is just going to become so much more important, and specifically with enforcement.
Another win though that we did have last year is that the Colorado Bureau of Investigation is now allowed to investigate gun related matters. Previously local law enforcement had to invite them. And in a lot of cases that just wouldn't happen because there are a lot of counties where guns are popular. So they would kind of just let that issue survive on its own or die. But now that we have a state like force, kind of, those issues are going to be much more kind of like open to the public to see and comment on.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, that was a very wraparound answer to your question, but yeah.
I'm so sorry, I have to leave after this, and I didn't want to be rude and walk out because I love what you guys are doing. But when you're looking for partners for the art show, because I'm very interested in that, like a room like this, something bigger, what are you looking for?
Something kind of like a gallery.
Our main problem when we did this 2 years ago is we ended up using a church space, which worked wonderfully. We're very grateful for the church that was down in Denver. We would like to elevate it a little bit so that students it's super, I mean, I love to paint and it's just super cool to see like in a more sort of professional space, and maybe have it be in a space that's a little bit more like open to the public as a gallery. The problem with that is funding. We do have funding from our national organization, but it's only so much. And that also depends on all of the other projects across the country that they're working on. So funding is part of it. Also just, I mean, if you have like ideas for venues, that's something that we're definitely trying to have it be a little bit more, yes.
How long do you have the art show open?
Last time we had it open for, I believe, 3 or 4 days. We had it over, I believe we tried to have it over a weekend so that kids could come in. It was really important to us that we allowed for pretty much any medium. So we did have spoken word performances, music, things like that. So we had sort of an opening to the gallery and then a closing, so that students had a chance to perform.
Have you considered approaching the Arvada Center?
Yeah.
I know our tax dollars go to that.
Exactly.
Yes, that is something that we've considered. Arvada's a little bit out of the way just because we do try to be Team Enough Denver. We were fairly concentrated in the Arvada Golden area. As Anjali mentioned last year, just that's where we were able to get schools involved. But that's a great idea
But that's also changing this year. We've had a lot more sub-chapters spread out.
Yeah.
So kind of bringing it back to Denver lets us target just more people and also make it open to the public, like as, you know, a community outreach event.
Yes, the other thing is your guys' advertising would be awesome, just because when it's not like a super formal gallery space or something like that, then word of mouth is how we bring people in.
Would you be interested in doing it in Boulder?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, because I work for the Boulder Museum of Contemporary Art.
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, there you go.
This is. Yes, we
have space that we might be able to offer for something like this.
That would, I have a business card and would love to give it to you.
I have my own email, but no business card. Is there any other questions or comments? Just really anything, if you have any lingering questions about gun violence in general.
So when you get ready to introduce the bills and they are asking for people to come testify, if you can contact us, because we have people who are very interested in going down to the Capitol to testify.
Yes, we definitely can. That is another really big way that you guys can support us, is the more testimonies there are, the more people they have to listen to, the better the chances are.
Yeah.
And it's quite difficult sometimes for high school students or college students, just young people in general, to take the time out of their day to go do things like testify, just because it's so, if you've ever testified, it's a very, you don't even know how much time you're going to be spending there, things like that. Sometimes those opportunities do come up fairly quickly. So I apologize if we're not able to give quite as much advance warning as we might like, but yeah, I definitely can do that.
No, we do have a Facebook group that you
Okay.
can post a message on, and
Perfect.
everybody who looks at it will know.
Perfect. Okay, that would be a great way to do that.
We also, just adding on to that a little bit, Rhiannon and I actually ran a training this morning on how to lobby and testify. So if there are an amount of people here who are interested in lobbying or testifying for the first time, maybe for the 10th time, however many times, we could totally come and talk to you guys or send information on how to craft your own testimony. Yes.
That sounds great.
I participate with the Colorado Coalition Against Gun Violence, and that's how I know Amanda Wilcox. So does Team Enough, also, I don't think I've seen you at the meetings, maybe a different person from your group?
Yes, we had, back in 2022, and 2023, we had, I'm not sure how long you've been involved with the coalition, but Lucy, I don't know if you ever saw them on the calls, but Lucy was on them. And then when leadership transferred, I had school during the meeting times. So I wasn't able to make them. We are on the email list, so we get all the meeting notes, and we get information that way. We also, Amanda was doing a really wonderful job of filling us in on the meetings. So yeah, that is.
Okay, because we met with a bunch of legislators, the Gun Violence Prevention Caucus of the legislature. And there are, we heard about some of the bills you mentioned that they're working on. I'll talk to Amanda about making sure, we keep up the connection.
Yes, that would be very appreciated.
Yes.
And I just also want to make a comment. Yeah, we held extensive discussions with Senator Tom Sullivan and Senator Ms. Judy Gonzalez, because both were one of the primary sponsors for the assault weapons ban bill, but it failed, of course. I mean, it passed the House, but it was floored in the Senate, because even on the last day, when it was on the Senate floor, I mean, could it be passed or not? We were there that day, May 9th or something. We were there, and we met even with Judy Gonzalez. Why is it being floored? And somebody asked Madhvi, what do you think is your big disappointment in this legislative session? She said it's the failure of the assault weapons ban bill, because it's affecting everybody. And then they said, oh, you're a climate warrior, but you're talking about assault weapons. Yes, I mean, that is, everything is like connected. I mean, when we talk about climate when everybody is suffering with assault weapons or like, when everybody is in danger, correct?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's one of the primary things. And during this summer break, we spoke to Senator Judy Gonzalez also again, because she was the previous sponsor or the 2024 sponsor. So now whether she'll be bringing the bill again, and Tom Sullivan, we had a very extensive discussion because he was not for that.
Right.
He said just one, I mean, he lost his son in the Aurora shooting and stuff. And so he was giving many technicalities also. So anyway, just I want to make that also.
One thing that we actually are seeing is that Tom Sullivan is likely to be sponsoring some gun violence prevention bills this session.
Specifically the assault weapons ban, I
which
believe.
is a big
So
win.
that hopefully should help to have his support with the assault weapons ban. Hopefully we'll get, last year was really exciting because we did get further than we had ever gotten, but hopefully it will be more successful this year.
But he's doing it, as you mentioned, as enforcement of restricting high capacity magazine.
Right.
Yes.
Because an assault weapon uses a high capacity magazine.
Yes.
Right. So if we enforce the fact that they can't have more than, 10 or 15 bullets in them or whatever, that is effectively an assault weapon ban, although it won't be called that. So some of those people who have issues with it may not notice.
So effectively, Colorado already has a ban on anything that has more than 15 rounds of ammunition. However, that doesn't really prevent a lot of dealers from having high capacity magazines that can go up to 30 rounds. So this would target that more heavily. And it would also target bump stocks, which are what allow guns to be fired like very rapidly. So the assault weapons ban this year, hopefully will get past more people, or like more people will support it just because of the specific language that's being used. There's hopefully going to be less of a connotation that this will take people's guns away.
Right.
And hopefully the lack of controversy surrounding its sponsors won't hurt it.
Yes.
Who do you consider, besides Tom Sullivan, who do you consider your real advocates in the legislature?
We worked a lot with Rep. Hernandez.
That's true.
A lot.
We have, so Senator Tom Sullivan, we have worked with a little bit, specifically because of his stance on the assault weapons ban. Brady's like overarching, an assault weapons ban is something we've always supported. So that's even with some of the opposition and some of the problems with the previous versions of the assault weapons ban, we have still supported that. But yeah, Senator Tom Sullivan, also, we have found that a lot of the Democrats because when we like lobby and try to talk to our legislators, we usually try to put kids just in contact with whoever represents them. We've heard a lot of responses that people just look to what Tom Sullivan is sort of saying about things as because he I believe he was the head of the Gun Violence Prevention Caucus.
Well, actually, Meg Froelich is, and Molly Duran.
Okay, yes.
They both are representatives. The thing is, in the House, you have Meg Froelich, we met with her also, and Duran. They are representatives and Senate. So it's we have to focus on both the House or both the chambers. Just not one person, it doesn't help. We have to focus both on the House as well as the Senate.
So Mike Weissman, who is a very strong supporter of our positions.
No,
he just got elected to the Senate. So it'll be really great to have him, and Kathy Kiff also is moving from the House to the Senate. So the Senate has gained a number of strong gun violence prevention supporters. And then some of the other ones who were Jackie Phillips and Chad Clifford were recently elected, and they are strong supporters. Tammy Story has been around a while.
Yeah.
And the other ones are Woodrow, Hamrick, Basenecker, and Gilchrist was just elected, and she's another activist in this area. So the Gun Violence Prevention Caucus is pretty big. And that's good news for us.
Yes,
Yes, Kathy Kip, Medtronic, or Mike Weissman, they're all like very good supporters, and we have held meetings with all of them. Even last year, or in 2024, March, we met with all of them. So Monica Duran is amazing.
Yes, and Monica's from Jeffco, so she's more of a local person.
Yeah, we had worked with former Senator Rhonda Fields, Representative Bacon, Representative Mabry. But yeah, and then all of the people that were listed, we've talked to. We do have a lot of support, as we just talked about, in the legislature for gun violence prevention, which is a really good thing. But we've also, I would say, still, personally at least, been disappointed by the bills that have failed. We also understand part of that is that Governor Polis is also not always on board with what we're trying to do. But yeah, and then Representative, Tim Hernandez, and then Elizabeth Epps, we had also talked to, but they both got primaried. So, yeah.
Do you know the position of Phil Weiser, who's now running for governor?
He's very strong on this.
Great.
Very, very strong supporter of banning assault weapons and other gun violence prevention measures.
And he just announced he's running for governor?
Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, the Colorado Coalition Against Gun Violence was really excited about his announcement.
Yeah, we met with him in March 2024, Phil Weiser, and he was like on many issues, and he was very vocal about his support, and so he's a very good.
And he's worked on enforcement of some of the laws. You know, as Attorney General, he's able to do that, prosecute when people are not following the laws. So that has been a big help.
Yeah, one thing that is kind of a big roadblock is that Polis has said that if an assault weapons ban does come to his desk, he won't sign it. So even if we do get it through the House and Senate, that's a really big issue for us. So having a governor that supports these issues more strongly is very important.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
Everybody. I could not be more pleased, and thank you to our three speakers. You guys were like stellar. So our next meeting is going to be Saturday, February 1st. It will be regarding healthcare. Our newsletter will be coming out next week, the action steps. And it will have a lot of information of things that you can all get involved in. But I don't know about you guys, but don't you feel like going and doing something now? Well, thank you very much. You all have a wonderful, yes, any questions about anything? Okay, thank you all for coming.